Hey everybody, I'm Zachary Blum, product manager here at Germfree Laboratories, and today we are going to be giving a comprehensive overview of our Mobile USP 797-800 compounding pharmacy solution for the hospital pharmacy space. We're going to break this video down into 4 main points. The first one is going to be the pain points that you are facing with your hospital compounding pharmacy right now, today, before the regulation comes into effect. The next is going to be a comprehensive facility walkthrough of our facility. Then we'll get into the economics of how we make this work for hospitals. And the last topic that we're going to be covering today is how we can help pharmacies get instant compliance. So first, let's start with the main hospital compounding pain points that you're facing today. 1, your facility is probably out of compliance. 2, you have a delayed construction schedule, or you have certifiers demanding rework in order to maintain compliance. 3, most pharmacy infrastructure does not allow for proactive monitoring and preventative maintenance until it's already too late. And lastly, most compounding pharmacies lack the engineering controls to actually help operators go through the facility without making errors. So let's talk about that first point. You may be out of compliance. There are many reasons why you may be out of compliance. This could be related to an outdated facility. This could be related to regulations simply changing. This could be related to a lack of maintenance, a lack of upkeep. And these are all things that unfortunately you probably are not able to realize until it's too late, until you have mold, until you have fungal, and you are told to rectify the situation or close down your lab. So we're going to talk about those things and how a mobile compounding pharmacy solution can kind of supplement and save your hospital pharmacy thousands of dollars. The second pain point that you may be facing today is you have delayed construction. Germfree has sold hundreds of these mobile compounding pharmacies. 80% of our clients extend their lease. They have to do that because the construction schedule that they're given on their rework and their reconstruction often is not timely. So they have to keep extending leases on these facilities to help keep supplementing patient demand and avoid outsourcing and many other problems that you may face if your facility goes down. Third, most pharmacy infrastructure does not allow for proactive monitoring of the lab. So Germfree has a very complex solution that's actually very easy for us to maintain and provides a lot of benefit for the hospital compounding pharmacy, which is remote monitoring and preventative maintenance. Everything in this facility, HVAC related, which is critical, we can monitor remotely from here in Ormond Beach or anywhere across the world. The pressure in our entry room, the pressures in our hazardous and non-hazardous drug compounding suites can all be monitored remotely. We can then preventatively change compressor speeds, fan CFM percentages, plenum pressure, lots of things to help reduce the likelihood that you are going to go out of compliance without your end user even knowing. So there's a lot of things that we can do remotely to save you thousands of dollars before potentially going out of compliance. And the last pain point that you are probably facing with your hospital compounding pharmacy is that you may lack the extra layer of engineering controls. Germfree builds their facilities to limit the amount of SOP-driven things that your operator must do 100% correctly 100% of the time to maintain compliance. So entering this facility, I'm actually standing in an ISO 8 entry room. Traditional hospital pharmacies, when you might enter from a hallway into a negative pressure anteroom. That's an immediate area for bioburden to come in because it's being sucked in from the outside. This room's positive pressure to the outside, so it's not allowing those contaminants to easily come in. Then, once you're in the entry room, we have 2 methods to limit operator error. The first one being material airlocks, the second being personnel airlocks. Our personnel airlocks have manual pressure gauges, digital pressure gauges, and then a traffic light system to allow the user to know green, they can go to the next suite, or red, to stay in the personnel airlock until they go through. What this does is the doors interlock and the user cannot physically go through to the next stage until they've been properly decontaminated for the right amount of time based on the pressure. That is the same situation for our material airlocks. We have both static and active airlock options. The active actually take the environment that the material is in, like the one behind me, and it purges that through HEPA filtered air, gets that down to an ISO 7 environment, allowing you assurance that the material that you just brought into your lab does not have bioburden or contaminants from the outside. Now for the second half of this video, I'm going to give you a comprehensive overview and facility walkthrough of what we are standing in right now.
We are currently standing in a 450 square foot mobile compounding pharmacy
built on a trailer chassis. This room I'm standing in is an ISO 8 entry room. The room behind me is a non-hazardous buffer room. The room behind the camera is a hazardous buffer room, and after both buffer rooms is both a non-hazardous and a hazardous buffer room suite, respectively. A facility of this size can create a throughput of around 400 to 500 doses per day, with some clients that are doing some work right now with real data. So this 53-foot
450 square foot mobile compounding pharmacy
actually has everything that your current hospital pharmacy has in order to create a throughput of 400 to 500 doses a day, which some of our clients are doing. We have the storage needed. We have both ducted and non-ducted BSCs in this facility. There's actually 4 biosafety cabinets in this facility. Plenty of storage for materials, plenty of storage for gowning equipment, benches, eye washes, sinks. Everything is in a compact package delivered on site outside, and it is super easy to set up. One of the things you may notice in a germ-free facility is how our engineering and manufacturing team thinks about the end user from beginning of process to end. Everything in this facility is a non-permeable surface built around the chemical compatibility that you're cleaning with every single day. We make sure that the materials we source are not going to break down in 10 to 15 years. Some of the first compounding pharmacies built decades ago by Germfree still are in use to this day and have not broken down even under daily cleaning. What you're looking at today is one of our pharmacies in about 95% production completion. There are still in-process checklists in every room in this facility, as long as QC markers throughout the entire facility. Germfree really prides itself on its QC phase and our high level quality that we deliver to clients. So there's actually in-process inspections throughout the entire build so that we don't get to the end of the project and then find the problems. We do in-process quality control checks all the way through. Now, to sum up some of the last features in this main entry room, we have a data rack for our CCTV. We have a phone system, we have temperature, humidity, alarm systems, fire, and life safety systems all in this room. But the main use of this room for you who is compounding in it is to really get in here, garb up to what you need for compounding, go into our buffer rooms, cross your line of demarcation, and then get to work. We're currently standing in our non-hazardous buffer room before going into our non-hazardous compounding suite. We have a garbing bench, a line of demarcation, a sink, an emergency eye wash plumbed into the facility, and of course interlocking doors to make sure that the SOPs are driven by the facility and not necessarily by the opportunity for human error. So we just came in from the non-hazardous buffer room, and we are now in the non-hazardous compounding pharmacy suite. Although this is a mobile platform, this still has the throughput potential to do 400 to 500 doses a day. That is why behind me, even though we have 2 vertical 4-foot laminar flow hoods, this space is still not cramped. There's still ample workspace, and we still have plenty of space to bring in materials through our pass-through that we talked about in the last section. Some of the additional features of this room are we have emergency releases to exit. We have a phone system to communicate with the main laboratory, as well as CCTV, so even if you're compounding inside, you can still see what's going on around you from a security perspective. We are currently standing in the hazardous anteroom before entering the hazardous drug compounding suite. In this room, similar, identical actually to the non-hazardous room, we have a sink, a plumbed-in eye wash, plenty of storage for gowning, a bench for gowning, and of course your line of demarcation when you gown up and cross over before entering into the hazardous drug compounding room. This room is negative pressure, and we also have the same interlock feature that we talked about a moment ago that helps, of course, reduce human error in SOPs. So now we're currently standing in the largest space in our mobile compounding clean room, the hazardous compounding suite.
we actually have 2 thimble transition ducted 3-foot biosafety cabinets.
And this space is still very spacious. You could have 2 to 3 operators in this suite. We have our material access pass-through. We have plenty of space for material storage, gowning storage, or anything else that you would need in this facility, workbenches for computers. We also have all the data drops and power drops associated to support that. But some of the things that you can do within this room is communicate with the outside without having to actually leave degown and leave this space. You can also see all of your CCTV footage in this room as well if needed for security purposes. Often for our customers, this is the most critical space for their operations. They're usually doing, of course, hazardous drug compounding with things like chemotherapy, and the airflow in this room is very important. So we actually have HEPA supplied air coming down in a laminar flow from the ceiling and then being sucked out through negative pressure by our low wall return, so that you get this bathing of air effect in this space. Of course, the ducted BSCs through a thimble transition also help with that to make sure that there's no contaminants recirculating in this room, potentially being hazardous to the operators. So now that we've covered our facility layout very loosely, I want to talk about the economics of how we make this work for our clients and why this is such a valuable solution. So for the third section of this comprehensive walkthrough, we're going to get into some of the economics of what it takes to operate one of these mobile compounding pharmacies, and then the ultimate value that it provides to our clients and helps get the drugs to patients faster. So Germfree mobile compounding pharmacies, put simply, they're available for sale or for lease. You can use OpEx if you don't want to use capital expenditure money, and that's often the route that most of our clients go. They keep your compounding operations online immediately, they increase your throughput efficiency, and then they ultimately provide you a solution on day one that is compliant. So in order to talk a little bit about the economics of the throughput of one of these facilities, let's take some data from one of our clients currently using our facility. We have a client currently producing 400 to 500 doses per day in this exact layout that you see. Because the economics of every pharmacy and the drugs being produced are vastly different, we're just going to apply these calculations to your hospital operations. If your pharmacy is producing 400 to 500 doses per day and suddenly has to shut down, what is the impact to your revenue daily when that pharmacy is shut down? Secondly, if you begin outsourcing to another local pharmacy, what is your cost increase per dose to go to that 503B and actually still get drugs delivered in a timely manner? And then how is your beyond use date affected? What are your operational challenges does doing this sort of outsourcing model place on your hospital? And then lastly, having an on-site compounding pharmacy is definitely the fastest and most flexible solution to fluctuate with the demand that you may be facing. If your time from compounding the patient increases from say 6 hours to 36 hours because your pharmacy goes down and then you then have to outsource, how does this affect your beyond use dates? Do you have an increase in waste? And then ultimately, do your patients start seeking care elsewhere? And then, of course, is an unfortunate loss in revenue for your pharmacy. So ultimately, the exact calculations of this hospital pharmacy are entirely dependent on your application, but you can use these rough numbers that we have from real data from our clients and apply it to your process today to figure out the cost benefit of adopting a solution that can be ready instantly and sit in your parking lot without affecting your current operations. For those of you who have made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for coming through this comprehensive walkthrough with us. You now get the benefit of learning about how we can help your pharmacy achieve instant compliance. So number one, like I said earlier, we do maintain a fleet of these mobile compounding pharmacies ready to ship at absolutely any point. The only time constraint is freight to your facility. Our solution is well documented with boards of pharmacies throughout the United States. So they've proven that this is a viable solution with hundreds of hospitals, and our experience with each state pharmacy board will help make sure that you have a smooth transition to certification. Our third way that we can help is, while our engineering and manufacturing techniques are very complex to maintain the level of reliability that we provide, the end user has an incredibly simple experience operating our facility. So our facility is easy to work in, it promotes efficiency, and we maintain compliance with minimal operator effort. They don't have to monitor and change and adjust set points. They don't have to call anybody. Germfree is all preventatively monitoring and maintaining all of this in the background so that they can focus on compounding. Our site requirements meet 99% of hospitals today. All we need are 3 utility connections and a parking lot, and this facility can be a fit for your hospital. You don't have to go through a lot of the permitting and complex processes to determine if this is even a viable solution. I'm telling you today, this works for 99% of hospitals. This is set up outside in Germfree's parking lot by our service team in less than a day. And lastly, Germfree serves as your single point of contact for all coordination related to the implementation and maintenance of a facility. So our end-to-end business model really lends itself to the implementation and maintenance of the facility and takes a lot of the burden off your internal resources at your hospital. Germfree is your single line of communication, and we limit the resources needed from your hospital in order to build, in order to maintain, and in order to monitor the operations of your facility, which has to be compliant 100% of the time. Thank you guys so much for getting to the end of this video and taking a look at our comprehensive overview of a mobile compounding pharmacy. Feel free to check out our insights, case studies, and other articles on the germfree.com website.